This is video number 3 on plot ownership. What if I were to tell you that this person has more rights to work on your family plot at the Sacramento City Cemetery than you do? Yep, it's true. Sacramento County Sheriff inmates on a work release program work at the city cemetery without any contract, can use power tools, but you're not allowed to. Let's look at the documents. All right, dating back to 2008, here's a resolution adopted by the City Council of the City of Sacramento. Instead of me reading it to you, I'm going to allow you to pause it, read down through letter C. Once you get done with that, re-engage, and I will move the document up a little bit. Okay, so basically the document says for about 20 years, from 2008 backwards, the city's Park Operations Division and the Sacramento County Sheriff's Department have worked jointly on community cleanup of vacant lots, commercial corridors, alleys, creeks, open spaces, utilizing labor from individuals who were convicted of a misdemeanor crimes and sentenced to county jail. This allows these people to not have to serve time in jail. They can go home on a work release program and come out on the weekends, serve their time, and not lose their jobs, potentially their families, their homes, and things like that. It's a good program. But back in 2008, the city recognized that they needed to pay for this service. And so they got into a contract retroactive to July 1st of 2007 to ensure that the sheriff's department was being compensated, because the off-duty sheriffs were coming out and working these crews and working the program, and that was $128,062 back in 2008. So here we see in 2018, this is August 21st of 2018, here's the contract routing sheet. It's still going on, except now the contract doesn't exceed $180,000. It's the Sacramento County Sheriff Department, the Work Project Program Inmate Crew Cleaning and Landscaping Maintenance. Here we see Lori Bowder. She worked in accounting. Her name appears on a lot of these contracts, and Lord and behold, she ends up landing the sweet job of program specialist later on working at the cemetery. So here's the contract here. It has recitals. It talks about cleaning and all of the other things that needs to happen. And in this contract by Shannon Brown, and you've seen her in the video with the city lawyer, don't even care what her name is anymore. Anyway, they were part of the architects of making sure that the county sheriff's people came out and worked in the city. But the problem is, this contract does not include any provisions for working at the city cemetery. Even in the language down here in amendment, so here you see Shannon Brown signs for the city attorney. Cheryl Patterson, there it is. That's who the attorney is. So she's involved with this. You've got Cheryl Patterson, Shannon Brown, and of course Lori, all involved in this 2018 document. And here's the service locations throughout the city. And again, it doesn't say anything about the city cemetery at all. So I contacted the sheriff's office. I did an open request to the sheriff's office because in the contract, it says they have to have memos. They have to have invoices on places they've worked, so there has to be some accountability. And again, this is June the 2nd. I did this when I was out there, and Lori was telling me that, oh, no, we don't pay them anything. And so I went straight to the sheriff's department and looked at the contract, and I said, hey, listen, because of these invoices, I'd really like to see how you guys are being compensated for working at the city cemetery. I want to see invoices for the year 2020 if they reflect if work was done at the city cemetery. Their response is they have no responsive documentation. So this is this is the documentation I was needing, that the sheriff's department is coming out and bringing inmates on work release out to the city cemetery. In the work release program, they'll bring them out in buses or something like that. And it's all considered a public service. But the citizens of Sacramento, as far as the cemetery goes, don't pay a dime for this service. We're expected to believe that the sheriff's officers donate their time out there. But if you want to go out and work on your family plot, you're expected to sign a volunteer worksheet. You're expected to cover many pages, but yet these people here that have been convicted of misdemeanor crimes don't have to sign anything. They're brought to the cemetery in probably a big bus like this. I doubt they drive their own cars there. 50 to 100 people at a time on the weekends, and turned loose with weed eaters and mowers to provide that community service. They have more rights than you as a plot owner does to enter onto the property, use city equipment, mowers, weed eaters, blowers, chainsaws, whatever they happen to need done that day, and there's no regulation for them at all. Now, if you go through the city's rules, there's no regulation against you bringing your own lawnmower or weed eater to maintain your family lot. It just doesn't exist. There's no rules against it. So my advice is go to the city cemetery, talk to the program specialist in charge. That would be Lori. She's not the cemetery manager. We've established that. She was never given that position by the city manager. And just inform her that you're there to work on your family's lot. You're not a contract laborer. You're not anybody else. And you're going to be using your equipment on your private property. And by all means, get some PVC, paint it red, put something in the corners if you want, and let them know that that is private property, unless they can prove that it's been abandoned and the city has filed on it. Please stay off your property so you can maintain it as you see fit.